Ladies and gentlemen, this is Joe's Classic Video Games back with another cool pinball repair video for you today. We are working on this Williams Bad Cats pinball machine, and in the first video we worked on the board set, got everything up and running. We haven't finished the first video yet, but you get what we're doing. And if you haven't seen that video, go check it out first, because we're going to upload it first. But now we're going to film a video as we work through the playfield on this thing. So we bought this years ago. It looks like it's up and running, but it's filthy. So this is what we're starting with. We're going to start tearing it down, see what we run into. There's a little bit of wear over here, right? And there's a little bit back there, just a little bit. And this down here is a little ratty looking. But we're going to see how well it cleans up, and we're going to get everything off, see if anything's broke, if anything needs replaced, get everything cleaned, waxed, put back together. So we're starting with this, and we'll start tearing stuff down. So we've been pulling everything off of it. We're not going to take every little thing off, but we took all the posts off and got it down to basically the wood, and we left a lot of the metal posts. Whenever you take these off, a lot of times they'll, depending on the game, they'll have Loctite on the screws. So a bunch of the screws broke while we were taking it off. You can heat them up, or try to heat them up. And sometimes you can just carefully go back and forth and get them out, but usually you're going to break stuff. So we broke a bunch of screws. So we're going to have to order some screws, but they're not that expensive. And we haven't cleaned anything yet, so this is what it looks like, filthy. It's a little deceptive though. Like I tried cleaning off this a little bit by just rubbing it. You can see a lot of this is going to come off, people. I think we're going to get it looking pretty good. And here's all our stuff sitting on these couple machines that we're working on next. The ramps are in pretty good shape. Most of the plastics are in pretty good shape. I've got in my remade plastics for the slings, so that's good. So we're just going to have to clean. So next up, I'm going to gently wipe down everything and try to get just all of the loose dirt off, and then we're going to lightly hit it with a magic eraser and some alcohol, but we're going to go easy on it. I don't want to go too crazy on it. You can see this little, that up here where that stain was that I didn't know what it was. It's, I believe, I got to look it up in the manual, but it looks like this shaft here has some kind of rubber ring that's supposed to be on it, and when this pushes, it pushes against the rubber ring and spins this, which spins the little plastic piece, which I don't know if it's broke or not, but it spins the little plastic piece through that encoder. So I'm going to have to look all that up and see what's missing on this. These little nyliner bushings have popped out, so that's going to need a little work, definitely, but I think it'll be rebuildable. But other than that, I don't really see much that needs attention. The motor in the middle might be messed up, or might need some oiling or something. So I don't know about any of the motors. There's that motor, and then on this one there's also a couple motors in the back. I think she swats the cat with that broom, and I think both of them have a motor on it, so I need to look into that. But yeah, it's in pretty decent shape. So I'm going to start cleaning, but I'll just do like a rough cleaning first, and we'll come back and show that. So the initial cleaning, this is what I was able to get off with just a wet rag, basically. Got a little bit of wear on his boot. A little bit of wear on this one's tail. A little bit of wear around that insert dragging out of that out of that kick out hole there. And just a little bit up there by the fish like we've been showing. So, and I didn't get all that off yet. So now I'm going to go a little harder on it with the magic eraser and see if we can magically erase what's left. You can see how nasty this thing is. I think there was a rubber ring of some sort on there that melted. And then what happened was it all kind of puddled down on the playfield. You saw it sitting there. And it's been like that for years, I suppose, right? So when I took it off, all of that crap just took, like it was like a goo. It had basically had some kind of chemical reaction with the paint, and as the stuff came off, the paint came off with it, and it didn't chip off or anything like that. It was like it was all one thing. So if you've got this game, you might want to check the rubber on that back piece back there, because if it starts leaking on your playfield, it'll eat right through the damn paint. Now luckily it's all gray, so I no longer have an option of not touching up the playfield. I'm gonna have to at least touch that part up. So if I get a good gray that matches up here, I can use it down here where you can see it a little better, and then right there too. But that won't be too big of a deal, I don't think. We should be able to pull that off. But the top part here is getting nice and clean. You can start to see some of Python's crazy artwork. They look serious, don't they? And this one, for some reason, is throwing darts. There's probably a plastic up there that makes that make sense. This guy looks absolutely devious. He's cooking chicken and hot dogs. Hot dogs, get it? This guy's over here, he's rocking. Alright, so I'll keep magic erasing. Okay, so it cleaned up pretty good with the magic eraser. I'm happy with it, at least. I think we're going to put a little bit of touch-up paint on it, and then we'll wax it, and it'll look really good. Pretty clean original game, really. I think it's been worked on a little bit because there's some touch-up paint on it. So like for instance, if you look right there, at some point that got chipped, and then they touched it up with the wrong color orange. They could have done that in the factory, but I doubt it, because somebody has touched up this up here too, and that ain't factory. Sometimes though, you'll get little tiny stuff like that they did in the factory. Weren't any more big surprises. This part here is not great. Like the ink or the paint is a little messed up here, but I think I'm just gonna have to leave it, wax the crap out of it. I'm not trying to repaint all that. I wouldn't be able to make it look better than that. So when it's got just normal wear like that, I just leave it. But you know, this place up here definitely needs new gray. I'm trying to decide if I'm going to re-ink the black lines around that too. I'm already going to be doing that and that. So first thing we're going to do, we've got to do some touch-up paint. So I'm going to mix up some gray and see how close we can get it. Okay, so I'm mixing this up, and I don't know how well this will show up on the camera. I'm looking through the viewfinder, and through the I'm looking at the display, and it looks like it's showing it pretty good. But so basically I need to get gray, so I mixed a bunch of white with just one drop of black, and I got a, you know, fairly gray looking color. But if I put that on there, if you look, it's not a good match. So you have to get good at like kind of being able to eyeball it and see what the deal is. So it looks to me like it's too blue, like it's got a little bit too much blue in it. It's more blue than the gray in the background, which is actually a little more green. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of green, just a little bit, and see if that'll green it up a little bit more and make it a little bit more like that gray. So you just have to keep messing with it, messing with it, messing with it. And when you get it mixed, you want it to be slightly lighter just barely lighter than the paint that you're trying to match, because when it dries, it gets a little bit darker. So I've got some blue looking gray, and I'm going to try to make it a little bit more green looking gray. So I added one little drop of this kind of light, like pea green in it, and you can see that made it much more accurate. It's much more like the gray. So I'm gonna try that. So I'm gonna paint just a little tiny spot, probably up there at the top where it's going to be hit a little bit better with that, and see if and let it dry for a few minutes and see if it dries up and looks pretty close. And if it does, I'll quickly, before this, I didn't make too much of it, before this runs out, I'll quickly touch up the few little gray spots that I need. Okay, so if you look carefully at the playfield, where that gray is, there's actually a couple. It's a little bit different color in different places just because it's faded. So I messed with it, and messed with it, and messed with it, and then it worked good here, and then it was a little off there, and it worked good here. So here's his shoe, his galosh. I was able to repaint that, and there's a little bit of the gray's been repainted around it, but I just kind of touched up the little dots that were gone to try to hide it, instead of repainting the whole area. And then the cat, I had to repaint the cat back in. His you can see both of his left legs were messed up, but got them back in. The orange was a pretty good match. Not perfect, but pretty good. Up here, I repainted that whole part that was missing. It's slightly off. If you really look, you can tell. Just slightly off, but it came out pretty good, I believe. So that's definitely passable. So everything. Oh, and I repainted the tail just a little bit. I just barely covered it up with a white. It's a little bit off, but again, if you don't know it's there, you're not going to be looking for that. So I'm going to clear coat that stuff a little bit. Very minor. I'm not going to clear coat the whole playfield. I just spot clear coat whenever I do it, so I'm going to just use literally clear coat in a spray can and just do the little area that I've repainted, mask off the area around it, and then we'll start waxing it after that. But I think we came out pretty good. Oh, and I used the black to re-ink the squares around these inserts, which look a little rough. There's some other stuff going on, like around his eyes. It's not perfect, but I'm just going to leave it alone because this is all so busy, you can't really tell that there's anything wrong with it. That might change when it lights up, but I think it looks really good, so I'm just going to leave it. Since this was square, you could tell that it wasn't square anymore. So, but I think we're looking pretty good. I think it's ready to, like I said, we'll put a little clear coat over what I just painted, and then we'll start waxing it. Once we get it waxed, we can swap the light bulbs and start putting everything back together, clean every little part and put it on one by one. That's always my favorite part, because you start seeing it come back, and look brand new. Or not new, but close enough to new. All right, we've got everything waxed up. Got all the light bulbs swapped out, doing their thing, looking good. Starting to put together our stuff up there around that touch-up spot, which is the worst spot. Putting posts on, etc., etc. So it's all starting to go back together. I think his boot turned out really good. The cat's pretty good. So we're going to start putting stuff back together. Okay, so one issue we ran into on the playfield is that the little screws that hold the window in the middle couldn't tighten up because the T-nuts had fallen out of it. So these are little tiny T-nuts on this. You can see well, I don't have one around, but an average size T-nut is like twice that size. And so a number 6 T-nut is much bigger than that. So I'm thinking that's like a number 4. So I'm going to see if you can even order those. But you can see where 3 of them have fallen out, and I can't find them in the bottom of the cabinet. So they must have fallen out in antiquity. But I've got to get those back in there so that I can have nice little screws on the top to hold it in place. I'll show you These are the little screws that hold it. They've got a flat top so that it holds the plastic on. So I'm going to see if I can order those. I've got to put together an order for some little incidental stuff anyway, so we'll see. So this is where we're at cosmetically as we wait on the parts. We still need to wait on that little, those bushings for that little, where is it? Where is the damn thing? So we need to wait on the little bushings for that. We ordered those from Marco. They've got them, thank God. If you don't know, we're in South Carolina, so we're right up the road from Marco Specialties. So whenever we order stuff from them, we always get it in a day or two. So makes it pretty easy because they've got just about everything usually. So we'll wait for that to come in. And because I can't put that in, that goes here, I can't put the plastic on that goes there. And because I can't put the plastic on that goes there, I can't put the big ramp on that goes there. And because I can't put the big ramp on that goes there, I can't put the fishbowl ramp on that goes there. So we've gone about as far as we can go on putting stuff back. Extra credit if you know what that's from. I've got to clean up the cabinet a little bit here on the side. Somebody touched it up and it looks pretty bad. And then I've got to put the decals on. So I think we're going to go ahead and do the decals. So we'll do this one over here first. There's a couple bolts here I need to take out, so I'm going to take those out. The lock is up here, and it's the old lock that we don't have a key for, so we'll take that out. I'm going to, well, never mind. I was going to say I'm going to sand that down, but that's actually flat. I thought it was raised up. We'll hit it with a little bit of sandpaper, just get the rough stuff off. But and then we're just going to get the decal wet, get this wet, put it on, squeegee all the water out, and then trim it. So I'll take those bolts out of the back, and I'll take that lock out, get it nice and flat, and we'll see what we can do. So I got my two bolts out, and I took the lock out, even though you could probably just do it over the lock, but because it's recessed. But found one awesome thing underneath one of the bolts. It hadn't faded because the sun had never hit it, so it was originally orange, which I figured, but now I know. So I was able to get the license stuff, but I was able to get them to send me just the head decals. And you can't tell on the camera, but it's a little bit off, just barely. But it's close enough that I'm not going to worry about it. And then I'm going to get it wet, which will make it where I can actually move the decal around until I squeeze the water out of it. Some people don't like doing it like that, but that's how I do it. And then these register marks here on the sides are actually line up pretty good. So if I can get it where those are about right, it should fit right on. And it's, if you look, it looks to me like they've got the scale perfect. So it's exactly the right size, in my opinion. So I'm going to clean that up a little bit, then I'm going to get it wet. I'm going to peel the sticker off, put it on there. I'm going to slide it around until I get it perfect. Then I'm going to squeeze all the water out of it, and I'll come back and show you what it looks like. Hey folks, as you saw, I got it really wet, which allowed me to just move it around wherever I wanted. And then I used a credit card wrapped in a paper towel to just squeegee all the I just used Windex, squeegee all the Windex out. Now, because the adhesive on the back of the paper is a little bit wet, it's not as sticky, so you can just slide it around. So you can see, like, down at the bottom, it's not even attached. So we got to wait for it to dry a little bit. So I'm going to wait a couple hours, let it dry where it'll stick a little bit better, and then I'm going to trim it and put the screws back in it, put the lock back in it, and that'll be that side, and then we'll do the other side. So today is a happy day. So Marco came through with the nyliners that I needed. So nyliners are these little tiny, see the little white bushing through the metal there? So there's two on this, one on the back, one on the front, and they just snap in there and it holds that shaft in place. So the way the thing apparently is designed, you hit the face, of course you know mine had crap all over it, so I cleaned it all up. You hit the face and it pushes the rod back however far it goes depending on how you hit it, which makes it spin this little rod with two rubber rings on it, and the rubber rings had melted. That was what caused all the trouble. And then it spins this little wheel, which goes through this optic here, and there's cuts in the wheels so it can tell how many times it spun and all that. But on mine, the optic's it's not centered right, but I couldn't figure out a better way to do it. There's a little washer that goes on the inside there. That's how it was set up. And I looked in the manual, and that's how it's made. So it appears that it's working good. It just, oh, and the spring on the back is held on with the C-clip. It appears that it's working good. It just, from what I understand by reading other people talking online, it's not a perfect type of thing. So it just does what it does. It's not, sometimes they say you can hit it all the way and you only get like 1 point or something, or one light. But, so I believe that it is working how it is intended to work. So we're going to screw that back in, and we'll have our fish bonus thing working right again. So that's cool. So the other thing I wanted to show was, check out our back box decals. They came out pretty good. We repainted the black trim too. So I let it dry overnight, on this side at least, and then pounded the bolts back in and tightened them up. Whenever you do decals, you always have to worry about twisting it and messing up the vinyl, putting a ripple in it. So try not to do that. But I think it all came out pretty good. It looks a lot better. It's not a perfect match of the bottom, but the original ones weren't either. So it could be that somebody swapped the head off of another machine, off of a decaled machine, but that'd be a lot of work, and the whole thing's in pretty good shape. I think it's just in the factory they just had parts, and they ended up putting a head with decals on it on a body that doesn't have decals. But we've at least got it all close to the same color now. It's not faded. So I'm very happy with that. So the last thing we need to do is start putting the playfield the rest of the way back together, and then cosmetically we'll pretty much be done. We already did the electronic stuff, so we're on the home slope here, people. All right, so I think we're about done. We've just got a couple little things, but it's up and playing. So we got the back glass back in it. Looks great. We got the ramp saw back in it. Looks great. There was one little spot up here. Look at this. Now I looked on a bunch of other ones too. This post doesn't line up with the plastic, but they're all like that. If you look at everybody else's, they're like that too. So they must have at some point had the post over a little bit, and then they decided that it was in the way, so they moved it over, but they didn't fix the plastic. So in the design, so like this part here, if you look, if one was right there, and if it was laid out exactly the same, it would fit the plastic, but it's off a little bit. That was one little thing I noticed. So yeah, I think it turned out pretty good, really. Now, we will probably do another video showing us playing it and everything. There's my little fish bonus thing. That works good. We'll probably do another video of us playing it, but we got all of our cosmetic stuff done. Looks great. I'm still waiting on the little T-nuts that I had to order. So I have to replace those 3 T-nuts, and I'm missing 1 screw. So I got to go to the store and try to buy a screw. They may sell those at Lowe's or something. It's a 440 and it's 5/8 of an inch long. And it's got bad kitty, and it's got a flat head on it. So it's one of those. I need one of those. Whew. But anyway, I'll start it up just so you can see it working. Bad cats. Whoa! I lost the ball, people. I love the sound of it and everything. Plays pretty good with one hand. I like the little cats on the back on the display too. Cool game. All right, so I'll do a separate video of us playing it like we always do about this time. One more time. But I hope you enjoyed us doing the playfield and the cosmetics. Give us a thumbs up if you can for taking the trouble to film it all for you, because that was a big pain, people. All right. And leave your comments below what you think about how it turned out artistically. And look for our other video of us actually playing it. So we'll see you on the next video. Make sure to leave your comments below. We want to know what y'all think about it.